Hello team and welcome back to the channel. So in today's video, today is day 6 of our series on real-time CI/CD pipelines, and today what exactly we are going to do. So I received a lot of requests to guide how to set up servers like Jenkins server, SonarQube server and so on, and how we can start writing pipelines from scratch. For today's video, what we are going to do, take a VM from AWS. Everything we are going to do from scratch, okay, and I'll be guiding complete thing. So first we are going to take a VM from AWS, then we are going to set up Jenkins on AWS VM, then we are going to install Docker, and using Docker we'll set up our SonarQube server. Then using a full stack application, we are going to write CI and CD pipeline from scratch, and then we will be building and deploying application. Then finally, once everything is done, and side by side we are going to follow the best practices as well as perform different security analysis on our application. Okay, at the end we will be able to access our application on the browser. Okay, so that's what we are going to do. Okay, so if you are new on the channel, make sure to subscribe. It takes a lot of hard work and effort to create such hands-on videos for you, and I try to upload videos on regular basis for you. Okay, also, if you want to connect directly to me, if you have any queries, doubt or issues, you can just follow me on Instagram. The link will be in the description. Also, I have a Telegram channel, so if you are having any issues with your deployments or work related issues, you can just join my Telegram channel. It's completely open, many to many. That means anyone can send messages. Okay, so you can join there and you can just put up post your issues, and someone from my team or some senior member who exist in our Telegram group, they will happy to reply you. Okay, yeah, so that will be all. And yeah, again saying that it takes a lot of hard work and effort to record such hands-on videos for you. And as of now, I try to record everything, and I try to post videos in simple ways so that anyone who is fresher or experienced can understand everything about DevOps. Okay, yeah, so with that being said, let's get started.
Okay team, so we are going to do everything from scratch. Okay, and I hope that most of you already have an AWS account. I also use that, and I just create VMs from here. Okay, so one of the biggest doubt that I see on my channel is that which VM we should take to do all these CI/CD things. Okay, so first of all, there are different kinds of VM: T2 micro, T2 medium, T2 large. Okay, so T2 micro usually comes like free, but trust me, when you want to practice properly Jenkins CI/CD pipelines, you cannot use T2 micro. Okay, because it's very small and it cannot handle the load. When you are creating a proper fully fledged CI/CD pipeline, the T2 micro VM cannot handle the whole load. Okay, so for that reason, like usually I go with bigger VM. Okay, so let me show you what are the what VM I go with. So name, you can just I just click on launch an instance, right? So here, if you want to provide a name, that is fine. If not, that is also fine. So I take Ubuntu VM. Okay, and version I usually go with 20.04. The reason, previously, when I was in beginner, I was going with 22.4, but there were lots of issues occurring with it. So I just downgraded and took the 20.04 LTS version. Okay, LTS means long-term support. It is kind of stable version basically. Okay, and instance type. So most people are taking because of free tier eligible, they are taking T2 micro. Trust me, when you want to practice, do not take this. Okay, if you are making a big pipeline, then you can either go with T2 large, because if you are creating big pipeline, integrating multiple servers, then this will be able to handle. Okay, but since I do little bit bigger things, so I usually go with 4 CPU 16 GB memory. Okay, if you are if you have the if you are okay to pay the amount, then you can go with it also. Okay, and you can see here it's not so costly, 0.1984 USD per hour. Okay, and for me it's like 1 or 2 hour maximum I use. So it's I think maximum I think it will go 100 rupees, I guess. Okay, so it's okay. So yeah, this is the VM I am going to take, and key is already present on my VM. Okay, in case it is not present on your system, you can just click on create new key pair, click here and select the PEM, provide a name, and just click on create new key pair, and it will be downloaded, okay, on your system. Since I already have, so I'm not going to do that. Next, you need to select your security group. So I have created my own security group with specific ports open. Okay, and let me show you what kind of ports you will be needing for the VM. And okay, let's go to security group. this is my security group, and actually I have opened so many VMs, but for like doing CI/CD pipelines, certain ports you will be needing. Okay, port 80, then port 22, 443, 25 in case you are going to use SMTP. Okay, and when I deploy applications, basically most of my applications are deployed between range 8000 to 9000. Okay, so this port I open. That means 25, 443, 22, 8000 to 9000, and 80. This many ports I actually opened. Okay, yeah, and now it is asking for storage, so I'm gonna give it 20 GB memory. Okay, and then I will click on launch instance. Okay, now our instance is created. Okay, now to access the VM, I will just copy the public IP address, go here, downloads, and here I have MobaXterm. Okay, this is a free tool available on Google. You can just download it. It is the best tool for using like access of the VMs, any kind of VM, Windows, Linux. It is the best option in my opinion. Okay, and since it is available for free, so I just go with it. And see, if you want to create, if you are like doing it for the first time, you can click on session, SSH, here provide the IP address, public IP address, then here username. Since we have created an Ubuntu VM, so we will provide the username as Ubuntu, then advanced SSH, then here the key that we have created. Okay, this is the PEM file of the key. Okay, select and click on OK, and you can see it has created. Okay, so what I'm going to do is rename the server as my simply I will just put as server. Okay, and tab color, let me choose anything, you can choose, it's fine. Okay, and yeah, if I click on star, you can see server is added. So if I double click on it, quickly my VM is up and running now. Okay, so let me clear the screen and I will become root. Okay, sorry, sudo su to become root. Now what we need to do is install Jenkins first. Okay, and the prerequisite for Jenkins to be set up is the Java should be installed on your VM. Okay, for example, if I run the command as java-version, no Java is found, right? So basically, since you know, like I basically work mostly with Java based application, so here if I okay before anything, when you set up a VM, first command that you should run, if you are not root user, you should run the command as sudo apt update. So what it will do, it will update all the local packages. Okay, and whatever packages that needs to be upgraded, it will just inform you. So before doing anything, the first command that you should run is apt update. Okay, so prerequisite, as I told, that we need to have Java installed, right? In case of Jenkins, either you can Java version, so either you can just select any of these specific version from here. Okay, but what I go with is, like, I have seen when you install Maven, then Maven will install Java also. That means with one command we can install two tools, and since Maven we are already going to use, so I usually go with this command, apt install Maven -y. -y means we are like giving permission to download it and install it. Okay, click enter. Now what will happen, this command will install Maven also as well as Java also. So within single command, two tools will be installed, and Java is prerequisite for setting up Jenkins. Okay, because if you don't have Java installed on your VM, you cannot install Jenkins. Okay, now if I run the command as java-version, you see JDK 11 installed, and even Maven will be installed. See, Maven 3.6.3. Getting my point? Okay, now Control L to clear the screen. Now we need to install Jenkins, right? So for that, basically my suggestion, always go with the official documentation page. Okay, like install Jenkins on Ubuntu machine, whichever machine you are having, just put a name and it will come. First link that comes, you can just click on it, and here our machine, we are using an Ubuntu machine, right? Click on here. Okay, before that, you see a minimum requirement of Jenkins is this many, but in reality like you cannot work properly with this much of RAM. Okay, minimum this much. If you are having 4 GB of RAM and little bit of space like 15 GB or 20 GB, then your Jenkins will run fine. Okay, And I have already told you like the reason that I took 16 GB of RAM because I installed multiple servers on the same VM. Okay, yeah. So let's scroll down. Okay, so we have already installed the what's that? We have already installed the Java, right? So next we need to set up Jenkins. So first, see these two commands basically what they do, they add the Jenkins package, Jenkins repository, basically inside Linux. Okay, so that we can download it easily. Let me copy this command, paste it here. Just one by one, I will run all these commands. Okay. And see, do not worry that okay, I don't have the steps to install. For me, I always go with the official documentation page. There definitely you will find everything. Okay. Okay, now let me explain you what exactly we are doing here. So basically, first of all, like we are adding Jenkins a key. Okay, key is like to validate. Okay, we are using correct package. Then we are adding Jenkins package to Linux repository, and then we are running this command apt get update. So this will update the Linux repository key. A new package with the name Jenkins is available and can be used for installation. Okay, and finally we will just run this command to install Jenkins. Yeah, it will see. Now here if you see, I just ran this command and here it is asking to like do you want to continue, and I have to put Y. In case you don't want to put this condition, you can simply add -y so that this like it won't ask now for the permission. Okay, so this is like some of these small things that you should know. Okay, so we are installing an LTS version. Okay, now if I scroll down, there are certain other commands which we need. Okay, start Jenkins. Okay, so here you see these three commands we need to run so that Jenkins can be started properly. So first of all, we will enable Jenkins. Okay, it's still running, so let it run. Once it completes, then we will start Jenkins and then access, and then we will write the pipeline from scratch. Okay. Yeah, also if you are new, yeah, make sure to subscribe. Okay, it's downloaded. Now we will enable Jenkins now, and next we will start Jenkins, and final command we have is to check the status of Jenkins if it is running or not. If I run this command now, see here you can clearly see the state is active, it is running fine. Okay, and by default when Jenkins is like deployed by using this method, it goes on port 8080. Okay, so I will clear this screen. Now to access Jenkins, what we can do, we can get the IP address of the VM, public IP address, paste it here, and port 8080. Click enter, and you can see it is coming. Now here we need to provide a password, and password will exist on this location. So I will copy this, and you know, like using cat command we can view the contents of a file, and our password is inside this. So click enter, password came. We will copy this password and paste it here. Click continue. Okay, now these two options you are seeing. Okay, so if you are installing Jenkins for the first time, or even if you are experienced person installing Jenkins, definitely and always go with install suggested plugins, because Jenkins knows what kind of tools you will be needing for the basic like building and deployments. Rest afterward, if any new tool is needed, we can just download it. Okay, I will show you. So click on here. Let me refresh. Yeah. Okay, it is loading, I guess. Yeah, so you can see now that Jenkins is installing the tools, whatever tools needed, it is installing now. Okay, meanwhile Jenkins is getting installed, we can set up our second server, which is SonarQube. Okay, so basically when I want to work with SonarQube, I want to practice with SonarQube, I always go with Docker container, because it is the easiest way for setting up a server. For Nexus, SonarQube, any server you can set up. So first of all, we need to make sure that we have Docker, and you can see we don't have Docker as of now. So what I will do, I will copy this command -y, and this will install Docker. Okay, and let me show you once Docker is installed how we can set up our SonarQube server. Okay, 97%. Meanwhile, here also it is running. Okay, so Docker is installed. If I run the command as docker-v, you can see Docker version 20.0.5 we have installed. Okay, let me clear the screen. Okay, now to create a server or container using Docker, we can run the command as docker run -d. -d means we are going to create the container in the detached mode. Detached mode, you can understand, like we are running it in background. Okay, because if you don't put -d, then all the logs will be coming on screen for during the creation of container, which I don't want basically. Okay, and here you can provide a name to your containers. For me it will be Sonar, and then you need to provide port, like on which port your SonarQube server will be accessible. So this will be the host port. First port that I'm writing is the host port. That means this is the port on which we will access the SonarQube in our browser. Okay, and second port, anything you can put. For me, I'm putting 9000, which is default port for SonarQube. Second port is basically the container port. Okay, container port means this port is open on the container from where application is getting accessed. Okay, first port is host port, second port is container port. Getting my point? Okay, now we need to provide the name of Docker image, which will be, in my case, SonarQube. And here you need, if you want to install any specific version of SonarQube, you need to provide the that version. Okay, which is also known as tag. In case you are like new and you are not aware, then you can, what you can do, you can just go to Docker Hub, and here you can search for SonarQube. Open SonarQube official image. Okay, now here you can see so many tags are there. Okay, for me I always go with LTS community version. Basically SonarQube exists in two versions, developer version and community version. Developer version is a paid version which is having more features, while community version is the open source or free version. Okay, and LTS means long-term support. So that means your server or your SonarQube will be stable. Okay, so here I will write LTS-community and click enter. Now you can see unable to find image locally. That means SonarQube image is not there, so it will download the image from Docker Hub. Okay, you can see it is pulling basically, and once it has pulled, then it will create. Okay, now once you see this kind of any ID, that means your container has been created. Just to confirm, you can run the command as docker ps, and you can see container ID, image, and the name that we have provided. That means container is running. Okay, now to access the container, again we will copy the public IP address, put it here, :9000, click enter, and you see like within 5 or 6 minutes we have just created SonarQube server. Okay, so that is why I say that when you want to practice or you want to test something, you can always like set up a SonarQube or any other tool using Docker container. That is the easiest way. Okay, now at this side also you can see our Jenkins is set up. Okay, let me close these pages. Okay, so first here let's provide a name. Password will be same for me, Aditya. Full name you can just put anything you want, and any email address you can put. Click on save and continue. Okay, and this will be the URL of your Jenkins. Click on save and finish. Start using Jenkins. Okay, that means our now Jenkins is configured and we can start creating pipelines. Okay, now what I want to teach you is how we can start writing pipelines from scratch. Okay, so let me show you that as well. So first of all, we need to basically install certain tools or plugins. So for that you can go to manage Jenkins, which is basically the setting section of Jenkins. Okay, for installing a new tool you can go to plugins. Okay, click on available plugins. Here first of all we need to, like for example, like by default we have set up JDK 11, right? But in case I want to use a different version of JDK, so I need to set it up, right? So for that I can search here JDK, and there is this tool present, Eclipse Temurian installer, which provides us OpenJDK. Okay, so I will just check it. Next tool that I want to use is SonarQube. So SonarQube scanner, basically it's a tool which will perform SonarQube analysis, so that also we will need. Then I need OWASP dependency check. So we are going to perform the security scanning of our source code. So for that, this is the tool that we need. Okay, Then we have Docker. So we are going to perform different Docker steps also. So we will install Docker, then Docker pipeline and Docker build step. Okay. And any other tool we are missing? I don't think so. So click on install. Now what it will do, it will install whatever tool we have selected there. You can see. Okay, and will just take few seconds. Meanwhile, we can go to SonarQube. Okay, you can see SonarQube is set up and it is asking for us to log in. So by default, the username and password of SonarQube server is admin, same thing. Okay, click on login and you can see it is asking for us to change the password. So let's change it. New password will be Aditya. Confirm password and click on update. Now SonarQube is configured. Okay, now let's come back here. Tools also installed. Now if I click on manage Jenkins and see, when you install a new plugins, so basically you need to configure them, like which version of those tools you want to use. So those things you can do inside this section, tools. In the older version of Jenkins, these tools is known as global tool configuration. Since I'm using the one of the latest version of Jenkins, so this is like little bit different. Okay, this name will be in older version is as global tool configuration. Okay, so here we can see JDK installation. So for me, I'm going to use JDK 17. Okay, then you do not click on Java Home, click on install automatically, add installer, and here you see this option install from adoptium.net. This is coming because we have installed that Eclipse Timurian plugin. Okay, here I can see easily whichever version I want to use, so I will select 17. Scroll down, and here we have SonarQube scanner installation. So let's just provide a name as sonar-scanner. Okay, and version, let it be latest, no issues. Then we have Maven. Since we are going to use Maven, so we will just provide a name as Maven 3, and version I want to use is 3.6.0. Okay, then dependency check, which also we have installed. So name I want to provide as DC, and install automatically. Here install from github.com. Here we need to select version. So by as of now, like default version is 8.4.0, but for me it was giving lots of issues, so I use this version. Dependency check 6.5.1 because it is kind of stable for me, at least for my repository applications. Okay, then we have Docker. So let's just provide a name Docker, install automatically, download from, and latest version. Okay, click on apply. Now settings we have configured. Okay, next one more thing that I need to do is set up, like basically connect our SonarQube with Jenkins. Okay, so for that, like for accessing any server, what you need, the URL of the server and username password, right? If you don't have username password, you can use tokens, right? So first of all, what we will do in SonarQube, go to administration, security, users, then you can see this option tokens here, right? So we will generate a token. Let's provide a name as T1, expires in 30 days, and generate. Now this is the token that will be used as credential for Jenkins. Okay, so I will copy this, and inside manage Jenkins, go to system. Basically, if you are using older version of Jenkins, instead of system, you will see configure system. Okay, so no issues. Scroll down, and here we will see this option, SonarQube servers. So click on add SonarQube. Okay, so before that, let me just duplicate this page. Since you just remember that we just copied the token, right? So we need to add that token in credentials, and then we will click on global, add credentials. Since token is like a simple text, so we will just use secret text. Okay, copy the secret text here, and ID. So ID I want to provide as sonar-cred, and same thing I want to put in description so that other users who are using Jenkins can understand, okay, this is for SonarQube, create. Yeah, now again, if I go to manage Jenkins, then system, and now we can configure SonarQube here. Click on add. Let's provide the name as sonar, default URL. So basically for our SonarQube, you can see till 9000, right? Copy this, paste it here, and make sure, put in your mind, always remove slash. Do not like put slash there. Okay, then you can see simply expand and select the token that we have configured. Okay, now most of the task, like basically configuring Jenkins, is done, and we have also set up SonarQube, right? As of now, there is no project, but it will come. Okay, now to get started by writing pipelines, right? So let's click on new item, enter an item name. So for me, it will be like, let's say, full stack. Basically, we are writing full stack pipeline, right? Full stack, let's say pipeline. Great. Now, since we are going to write pipeline, so we'll need to select the option pipeline, click OK. And as part of like DevOps, since if you're a DevOps engineer, basically you should know that one of the main aspect of our job is to follow best practices, right? So for that, we will click on discard old builds. And basically this section helps you to say like in history, how many builds you want to keep. So for me, I just keep like 2 builds, so that it doesn't if I'm keeping so many builds in history, it will occupy space, okay, which I don't want. So I just like to keep only 2 builds in history. Okay, scroll down, and here this is the section we will write our pipelines. Okay, so for me, I always go, if I'm creating any pipeline from scratch, I want to use a template. So I take like hello world, and you can see the pipeline is created. So next, what I can do, I can simply edit it. Okay, how do I do that? So first of all, what I will do, I will just copy this stage and create multiple stages. Okay, later we can edit it. 4 stages created. One thing you should remember, no 2 stage can have the same name. Okay, first stage usually that you want to have in your pipeline is get checkout, which basically will create a local copy of the source code repository. Okay, for me, let's say I want to use a project, let's say eCard, one of our like very famous applications. So I will copy the URL. Okay, and I can just see that, okay, this is on main branch. Okay, so let's say I don't know how to write the command for get checkout. So what I will do, I will just, you see this option pipeline syntax, I will open it in new page, and this will help you to write this script. You can see this option inside it, git. Okay, now here we will paste our URL branch. As you remember, branch was main. Since my repository is public for you people, so you don't need any credential to add. Okay, in case it was private, then you need to add a token in credential section, and then you can select the credential from here. Okay, then generate pipeline script. Now you see command is generated, we can just copy paste it here. Now first stage is completed. Next stage that I want to perform is compile of the source code. Okay, so when you want to run like Maven command or any shell command, you need to enclose them inside shell. How do we do that? sh for shell, double quotes, then command. So I want to run the command as Maven compile. Okay, now see the problem that we are using a third-party tool, which is Maven. So basically we need to inform this pipeline that this tool exists inside our Jenkins only. So we need to define it here. How do we do that? Using this option, tools, curly braces. Then here we will define the tool, and the format is tool type, then in single quotes tool name. For example, I want to define JDK. You remember I configured JDK 17, right? So JDK is a type of JDK type, right? So type is JDK, and in single quotes name of the tool that we configured, which is JDK 17. Same thing for Maven. Maven is type is Maven, single quotes name of the tool which we configured is Maven 3. Okay, compile done, and let's say I want to run the test cases. Okay, so for this like you can run the command as sh mvn test. Okay, but just to let you know people, like the project that I'm going to use, it has test cases failure. Okay, so if test cases are failing, your job will fail. Just to avoid that, I have this argument t skip test equal to true. So what it will do, it will skip the test cases, and because of that our job won't fail. Okay, okay, now coming to 3 stages we completed. Next stage that I want to perform is SonarQube analysis. Okay, analysis, and let's provide the correct names. SonarQube. Okay, how do we write the steps for SonarQube? Okay, so first of all, you remember like we have already configured. If I go to dashboard, manage Jenkins, tools, Here if you see, we have configured SonarQube scanner, right, with the name Sonar Scanner. So here again we are going to define it basically. So for SonarQube, another way, very interesting way, is to create a environment variable. How do we do that? Environment, okay, not environment variable, basically environment, okay. So we will close what we are going to write. So I'm going to now inside the environment I'm going to create environment variable scanner underscore home, okay, equal to tool, name of the tool sonar dash scanner, okay. This is done. Next, in SonarQube analysis, let me open this option pipeline syntax and let's see if we could find anything, any step which we could use. Let me see, with SonarQube environment, right, and token we will select generate pipeline, copy this and paste it here. Okay, now some changes we are going to do because to make things easy is my main task. Okay, here you see we are adding credential ID, but we don't need to add it. Why, you know? Because we can simply say that we have already configured SonarQube server in system in this with the name Sonar, right? And same thing we can just copy name with which we configured, and instead of providing the whole credential, we can simply remove this in single quotes, provide the name, that's all. And now here we are going to run the commands to perform SonarQube analysis. Again we are going to use shell. Okay, now in case of SonarQube, what happens, sometimes we have multiple lines of code, okay. So in that, if you want to run those as a shell commands, you need to use this option, 3 quotes. 3 quotes means that our command is of multiple lines, okay. Let me show you. Okay, so now we have already created environment, right? So we are going to call it now. How do we do that? $, for variable scanner underscore home, then bin, because tools exist inside a bin folder, right? Then name of the tool, which is sonar dash scanner. This is the format. You can just remember that, okay, we are calling our tool using this option because the executable portion of executable part of a tool exists inside bin folder, and that's what we are calling here, okay. Next, you just need to provide like d sonar dot project name. I want to provide as ecart. Let's say I have as I told, multiple lines, so I put a slash, then another argument d sonar dot project key equal to same name. You can put, even it's not an issue, we can just put ecart. Okay, now what you need to remember, like as of now, like we are doing the analysis for Java based application, but these two options, the sonar project name, the sonar project key, these two options should exist in any whatever kind of programming language your application is built and you want to perform SonarQube. These two options should be definitely added in the scanning commands, okay. But for SonarQube, we have another command also, which is dsonar.java.binaries. Basically, we need to provide the path of this Java binaries. So I will just put a dot, and to close whole thing, I will just put 3 single quotes. That means this command is complete. Okay. Now I want to perform SonarQube OWASP dependency check. So for that, what I will do, I will just create a new stage here. Let's provide a name as OWASP. OWASP is fine, or simply OS scan. Okay. Now similar to SonarQube, OWASP also has its own way of writing the commands. Okay, let me show you. I have just written it. Yeah, so this is the format we are going to use for OWASP dependency check. Okay, and let me explain you what exactly happens. Dependency check, simply we are calling it, okay, then providing additional arguments. And here I have added ---- scan and the path which we want to scan. / means root directory, whole thing. Okay. Then we have ODC installation, basically just providing the name of the tool. You see, like whatever third-party tool we are using, we need to define it. Unless we have like installed it on our VM directly, if we have installed it through like a plugin, we need to define it. For example, like JDK17, Maven, all those three things we have configured in tool section, so we defined here. Sonar scanner we configured, so we defined them inside environment. Okay, OWASP span, since we are like using we have installed it using a plugin, so we are defining it here. Okay, and last this step, this basically says okay, the OWASP scan, the report that it will generate, it will put into this format, in XML format. Okay. Now one thing that you should know, like other than OWASP, there is another tool which is very much useful for like performing this vulnerability scan for dependencies and libraries, which is known as Trivy. Okay, so as of now, nowhere we installed Trivy. So basically, like Trivy plugin is not available for Jenkins. Okay, so what I do, which method I do is simply install Trivy on the VM on which our Jenkins is running. Okay, and these are the commands that I use for installing Trivy. So I will just run the commands one by one, and basically we are adding a package and then we are just installing the Trivy, okay, on the VM. Simple as that. And then final step is to install the Trivy. Okay. Some error is there, I guess. So we don't verify because the public is not available. Some public key issue. Okay, no issues. Let me just run. 1 second. Let me see if apt update we have ran. Let me just run it again. Some issue is there, I guess. Basically, like I could make a video where I can guide you how to make plugins for Jenkins. Basically, there is a way using which you can create plugins for Jenkins by your own, on your own. Okay, so someday maybe I will make it. Okay, and yeah, let's run this command now and let's see what happens. Okay, let's try to install now, and I guess it should be able to get installed now. Yeah, you can see it is installing now. Some issue was there from Ubuntu side, I guess. Version we are installing is 0.45.0. Just to check, we can run the command as trivy-v, and you can see version is there. Now since on VM it is installed, so we don't need to define Trivy here. Let me show you. If I just copy this command and paste it here, we can put as, 2 times we could use Trivy. Trivy can scan file system also, and Trivy can scan Docker images also. So here for scanning file system, we can run the command as trivy fs, then path which you want to scan. For me, it is going to be from root directory, so I will just put a dot. So these many stages we have completed. Next stage I want to run is build the application, and the command will be build, simple. And here, sorry, the name is build and command will be mvn package. Since test cases are failing, so I can put skip tests equal to true, simple. These many stages complete. Now let's say I want to perform docker build image and docker push the image and then deploy the application inside docker container. So that also we can do. So before that, I will just click on apply, and let us run this pipeline to see if it is running fine and everything is fine till now, whatever stages we have configured. Now let's go through the things that is happening. First thing, like, see, whatever third-party tool that we have mentioned in our pipeline, first it is installing it, basically unpacking, installing, you can say whatever. Okay, and secondly here you can see Sonar scanner, and here JDK17. Okay, and this will happen just one time, because second time the tool will be available. Okay, so let it run, and let me just click here, and from here also you can see whatever stages are being executing. Now what here is happening is basically compilation. So for compilation, so many these artifacts are needed for the application to run successfully, sorry, for the compilation process to happen. Okay, and it is, yeah. So now you can see first stage, which was second stage, which was compiling the source code, it's completed. Okay, build success, you can see. Scroll down, and here what we are running is test cases. So basically, like, it's not going to execute the test cases because they are failing. You can see test are skipped, and then we are going to perform OS dependency check. Now in case you are not aware, OS dependency check, it basically performs a vulnerability scan on your source code dependencies and libraries. For example, we are using Maven based project. Okay, so all the dependencies are mentioned inside POM file. So OWASP, what it will do, it will get the details from this POM file, that whatever dependencies are being used, and it will match it with the details that it has. Okay, it has basically, OWASP has a database which contains information that which specific version of a dependency is vulnerable, and it will match, and it will let us know, okay, this dependency you are using, specific version of this do not use, something like that. Okay, so that is very helpful. And you can see it started downloading from the year 2002 until 2023. It will download each year, like new list of issues come, like new list of vulnerabilities in dependencies. So it has those stored inside a database. So it's just downloading the database, or basically updating its own database with the information from that. Okay, so it will take some time. Meanwhile it is running, I want to do one more thing. Since okay, as of now we have not added Docker stages. Okay, but see, Jenkins is a tool which is going to execute all the commands using user Jenkins. Okay, so we need to make sure that that specific user has access to execute the Docker commands. Okay, how do we do that? Basically, I have special simple list of commands which we need to run to make sure that Jenkins can execute the what is that, Docker commands. Okay, so main command that you could use is this command, user mod, and we are going to add our current user, or basically user Jenkins. Okay, user Jenkins inside Docker group. Okay, so once Jenkins is added inside Docker group, then Jenkins will be able to execute Docker based commands. Okay, this thing you are seeing -ag, that means Docker group will be Jenkins secondary group. Okay, Jenkins will be added in two group, one its own group which is Jenkins, second group will be Docker. So Jenkins can execute Jenkins have the permissions on both the groups. Okay, so to make it like work properly, I can run this command. Okay, it's still running. The reason that I did not run it right now, because we have SonarQube running as a Docker container, and if I restart Docker daemon, okay, then container will be getting removed or some issue will occur. So once this here in our pipeline, once SonarQube stage is complete, then I will just restart Docker inside the VM. Okay, so let's wait for it to complete. See, OS dependency check, it takes only the first time little bit of long time. Why? Because it is downloading all those database information and all. Okay, second time you will notice it won't take too much time. Now we are running Trivy FS scan. Okay, so Trivy file system scan is similar to Docker. The difference comes that Docker has a limited access to database, or only one database it has access to, while Trivy has access to multiple databases, and it can perform this scanning and like matching of the dependencies from multiple databases. For example, like Trivy has access to Red Hat database of vulnerabilities, has access to Debian database of vulnerabilities, then national database of vulnerabilities, all multiple databases it has. So I have added Trivy also, and Trivy provide detail in very proper format. You can see total 145 issues it was able to find, the criticality or severity of the issues 42, high 56, medium 45, low is 2, and you can see in proper detail it has given us information. So once Trivy scan is complete, we are performing SonarQube scanning. So yeah, and now everything is complete. So these many stages we have written, and now what I want to do is we need to make sure that our Jenkins is able to execute Docker commands. Okay, so here what I'm going to do, as of now, if I see Docker ps, I'm able to run command because I'm running as root, but that's not a best practice. So, and one container is there. Okay, so two commands you can run. Either you can just run this command and restart your Docker, or you can do this. If I copy this command, paste it here, and then just restart Docker one time. Docker is started. Now if I run Docker ps, container is gone, no issues. We are going to create the SonarQube again. Docker run -d -name sonar. Port we will keep same. Host port will be 9000. Container port will be 9000. SonarQube and LTS-community. Done. Click enter. Okay. Since container was already existing, we can just change the name as sonar1. And container created. If I run the command as docker ps, you can see container is running. Okay, quickly I will go here, refresh this, and you can see new SonarQube server is getting started. Okay, URL and everything will be same. Only thing that we need to change is the token. Okay, and also this step we don't need to do multiple times. Basically, when I was setting up Docker, I needed to run these commands so that Docker could have like Jenkins will be having access to run Docker commands, but I forgot, so I have to do this step now. But I hope it's not a big issue. Meanwhile, yeah, let it be. We can configure our rest of the stages. Okay, coming back to our pipeline, click on configure. Now we are going to add the like we have created the jar file, right? Next, what we want to do is build the Docker image. So I will copy this, create new stage, and let's provide the name as build and tag Docker image. And let me remove this. Okay, so Docker commands, basically we are supposed to run inside a script in this format. Script. Okay. Sorry. Now here for writing Docker commands, we will take help from pipeline syntax. Go here with Docker registry. Last option. Since we are using like Docker Hub public repository, so we don't need to provide the URL. Credential we need to add. Credential for accessing the basically it will be needed when we want to push our Docker image. So username and password, for me it is Adijaiswal, yeah, and password is interesting. Let me just correct because I forgot, I guess. Okay, name let us provide as docker-cred. Same thing we will put in description. In case you are wondering from where this username and password is coming, so basically if I go to Docker Hub, open the first link and let's sign in. So this is the Docker Hub page on which I have created an account. Okay, from the same name, and basically whatever Docker image I create, I push it here. You can see tons of images I have created and I have pushed, and lots of my images are getting downloaded also. Okay, meanwhile, yeah, SonarQube is done. Let me just quickly configure it. So that, yeah, and let me provide the old password, which will be admin. New will be Aditya, and update. Now quickly generate the token. Any name you can provide, token, copy. And now what I will do, I will configure it in our SonarQube where we configured inside the system, right? Sorry, no, here we will go to credentials, SonarCred, and we will just update the token, change password, remove this, add the new one, save, done. This part done. Now we can happily write the commands for Docker. So for Docker cred, I have added Docker installation, Docker generate See here it is also even written should not be normally used in a script. Okay, so we are just putting it inside this script. We have created an inclusion of script, and inside it we can run. Okay, now running for Docker commands, we can write the sh for shell here Docker, and basically the repository that I am using has the commands in case you are doing it for the first time or you are not aware how to build Docker images. You can write you can just copy from here this command docker build -t, copy this and yeah, paste it here. Okay, what exactly happening? Docker t and tagging also we are doing here with the name dev, and here -f we are providing the path of Docker file, and then dot, that means current directory. So when we are inside this folder and then current directory, okay, this will build the Docker image. Next I want to tag it, so I will run the command as docker tag, and the image that we built is this one. So I will copy this, and then I want to tag it with the new name, which will be, first of all, format is Adi Jaswal or your Docker Hub username, then Docker Hub image. Let me close it. Yeah. Okay. Now same thing I want to do. Basically, I want to push the Docker image inside the Docker Hub repository. Okay. So that how I will do. I will create another stage. Here, let me provide a name as Docker push Docker image basically. Okay. And let me remove this Docker push, and it will understand, okay, this username is there, so it will create a repository for ourselves with this name. Now this will push the Docker image. Okay, finally what we are going to do is just run the Docker container command to let me just since we are going to, okay, let me just copy and create another stage quickly. Copy this, and here I want to provide the name as deploy in Docker container. And command I can simply run as docker run -d. Make sure to use when you are in Jenkins, because else it will like keep the Jenkins job going. Okay, but we want to like end the job and get the result as success. Okay, docker because basically just to create the Docker container in background. For that -d, and yeah, -p for port, which will be 9000. In case you are thinking why did not I provide hyphen name, because that is an optional thing. Okay, and Docker image we need to provide. In case our image is this one, so I will just copy this, paste it here, apply. Sorry, port little bit wrong, I just wrote different port. Which port I need to use? So basically the port details we have defined in our Docker file. Let me show you. If I go here, Docker file, and here we have defined that we want to expose the port on container as 8070. Okay, so same thing, the same port will open on container, and the host is basically this browser, so that we can access the application. Okay, so click on apply and let us run this now. My battery is 21%. Oof. Okay, now you might see OS scan will run little fast, because second time it don't need to download all those like database, because it already has that, right? See, this video I hope like it helps you understand how we are basically building and deploying applications using Docker, Jenkins, and SonarQube server. Okay, see, there could be more stages like Nexus I have not tried it, Kubernetes I have not tried it, that we will be doing in future. today is day 6 and I wanted to make sure that everyone knows how to write pipelines basically, that I guess we'll be able to do. Okay, OSP is still running. Okay, let me quickly put the charger. Yes. Okay, it's taking a little bit of time for scanning, I guess. Yeah, and here you can see it was able to find lots of vulnerabilities for this. These are the things. Okay, so as dependency check completed, now we are doing these trivia scan, and here also you can see it generated a graph, beautiful graph showing the issues, what kind of or how many issues it was able to find in our source code dependencies. Basically in DevOps, once you find these many things, you need to inform developer as well. Okay, these are the results we found, and kindly use different versions of the specific dependencies, and the developers will fix it. So now we are in SonarQube analysis. Let me scroll down. SonarQube analysis successful. If I go to SonarQube, go to projects, you can see inside SonarQube analysis, after SonarQube analysis, it was able to find 25 bugs and 6 code smells. Details we can see here. And yeah, so here now Docker image was built and tag happened. Now finally we are pushing the Docker image. So one by one, like, it will push all the layers of our Docker image, and I guess it is pushed. And yeah, Docker container also got created. Now what I want to do, go here, refresh the page, and we should be able to see our Docker image. Yeah, you can see it says shopping cart last pushed a few seconds ago, right? That's good. Now to access the application, since our application is deployed, let me take a look at the pipeline also, and you can see so many stages we had. Interesting. Now copy the IP address where we deployed and the port that we defined in our Docker file, as well as the Docker run command. And yeah, so this is the application that we have deployed and it runs fine. We can try to log in to this using this command. Home. Yeah, so application is running. We can just click on buy things to add things in our cart. Okay, and you can click on sign out, you can click on registration to put up so and so. Yeah, so the application is running fine, and that is very interesting. So that's all for today, and I hope this video helped you to understand how we are creating Jenkins, how we are creating SonarQube server, and how we are writing pipelines. Okay, so see you in the next video.